All right, good morning and welcome. Welcome to day 2 of the Empower Pharmacist Summit. We are so happy to have you back here today. This is brought to you by Your Space. And today, kicking off day 2, I cannot tell you how excited I am. I cannot tell you how excited I am that we are going to begin today with Christina Fontana. Now, I had the pleasure of meeting Christina just recently, and I cannot tell you how much I'm looking forward to this session here to start day 2. It's titled From Exhausted to Empowered, Burnout Prevention Strategies for Pharmacists. Now, if you haven't met Christina, Christina is the Pharmacist Coach. She's a trailblazing thought leader. She's a transformational business coach, a dynamic speaker, and 6-time author with over a decade of experience in catalyzing personal and professional breakthroughs. Known for her unique ability to blend science, soul, and strategy, she empowers leaders and organizations to unlock their brilliance and elevate confidence, clients, and cash flow. For over 13 years, Dr. Christina has been inspiring global audiences through her YouTube channel, books, and transformative programs. Her expertise lies in helping visionary healers and business owners harness their innate gifts, creating ripple effects of healing and impact all over the world. A passionate advocate for human potential and well-being, Dr. Christina's ultimate mission is to ignite a revolution of empowered leaders. What a better place to be today than to have Dr. Christina, where she's going to enable us to transcend limits, bring transformational change to and bring transformational change to our communities. Through her work, she fosters a culture of innovation, resilience, and purpose that resonates far beyond the pharmacy and coaching industries. My friends, please welcome Dr. Christina Fontana.
Hello, everyone. All right, so we're starting off. I hope you have your coffee because we're going from exhausted to empowered today. So we got to start with coffee, though. I have my little to-go cup here. And first of all, before I start, I want to just take a moment and acknowledge Ashley. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. I have hosted summits and retreats, and I know how much coordination and care and love goes into not only making this possible, but inviting all of these people and giving us the stage, handing us the virtual mic to share our passion. So I want to just acknowledge you and Jesse and Susan because, there's a team that's typically behind hosting these big events. So I wanted to just really acknowledge you and see you in that because, again, I know how much goes into these events here. And for everybody else, I wish I could see, I see little people here, the participants, I see there's 7 people. Please feel free to engage with me. Let me answer your questions. This is very much an engaging conversation. I don't want this to just be me talking at you. I want to have this conversation with you. Tell us where you're tuning in from. Yes, I am from Pittsburgh. Originally from Long Island, so you'll hear that accent come out. But like I said, I want this to be engaging. I know that a lot of us are probably at work or multitasking or dropping kids off at school, but truly, I want you to make the most out of this and pick my brain, ask me questions, and we're going to have so much fun. So I'm excited for this. So let's get started. I don't have any slides. I have some notes here. But by the end of our talk, I want you to understand why burnout is more than just being busy, being overwhelmed, feeling exhausted, and how it's actually a signal of deeper nervous system dysregulation. So I'm going to come at burnout from a different perspective that you might have never heard of before. And I want you to stay to the end of this talk because I have some bonuses and some goodies that I want to give you, some freebies here that will help make this tangible and make this real for you so you can implement this in your life. I want to introduce a new concept of what low voltage energy leaks and patterns look like and how to start plugging those so that you can be able to go from exhausted to empowered. So we will be diving into that. And I'm going to take you through some practical nervous system exercises to help you expand your capacity. And I'll explain more of what that means so that you're not operating from being burnt out. A simple thing that I want to introduce you to, actually, even before we start, is I want you to imagine that your phone battery right now is on 2%. Who else would be freaking out? I panic if my phone battery goes below 50%. Yet this is how so many of us are operating, on burnout, on this really low battery. And so I'm going to tell you how you can start increasing your level of power. We're going to go into that. And then you're going to leave with a clear vision. Okay, what are my next steps? And I'm sure not just learning from me today and yesterday's sessions, that Ashley has curated these wonderful speakers in this lineup, but having even just like taking one or two nuggets maybe from each of these sessions and implementing them. Don't just come and passively watch, actively engage. Oh, Alyssa, you're from Pittsburgh. Oh, I'm in Cranberry. I wonder where you're from. That's so cool. I love it. So, okay. So again, ask questions, pick my brain. I'm here to be of service to you. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to chat even after this. So first, before I even start, I want to share, who am I? Why do I do this work? And why I get where you're at. So I am Christina Fontana, the Pharmacist Coach. You heard Jesse read that long bio, but truly I am a passionate healer. I am here to help people expand your brilliance. We just published this book because you are brilliant. You have a bright light that is meant to illuminate the world, that is meant to help others with their health journey, to heal, to not have to be burnt out. You're going to be helping your patients with these tips too, hopefully, that I'm going to be teaching you today. And so why I started this business and why I do what I do actually started back in 2012. So I was 24 years old. I found myself right before graduation. I was homeless, jobless, battling a rare eating disorder with panic attacks and regular anxiety. And from the outside looking in, you would have thought I had it all. I had just gotten a residency. I landed a residency at a community pharmacy. I was about to graduate and have, the doctorate degree and this big title. Yet inside, I was so broken. And it was because of so much trauma that had happened throughout my life. I was at my light bulb, my metaphorical light bulb was at that 2%. And that ignited something in me to never be in that place again, but to also one day share the transformation. And I come from a very spiritual perspective, so I'm going to be sharing some things, and feel free to take or leave whatever doesn't resonate with you. But Washington, PA, love it. But in that moment of my rock bottom, that was where, I thought it was the end. I thought that I was like, what am I going to do now? My dad had kicked me out of my house because I wanted to do a residency. I didn't want to take over the family business. And I was just at this very low point. But step by step, I took one step, then the other, and God really led my path to where I am today. Now, I know that was 12 years ago, and I'm not going to go into the whole story, but I've been through many different iterations of burnout, of being just so exhausted from not only toxic work environments, but also from my own experiences. And I'm going to talk about that today, and how I think a lot of us don't realize how much past experiences cause us to leak our light. So instead of shining brightly, we're flickering. We have a dim bulb. And if we're not operating from a full level of power, how that shows up in your work, in your health, in your relationships, and how to start plugging in to your power so that you can operate from this high energy. So kind of fast forward to 2019. I found myself still working at a pharmacy. I had my business for a while. I had gone through the residency, figured out my life. I, found a place to stay. Everything worked out. That's a whole other story. I don't want to take up too much time, but I became a health coach, and then I met somebody from Pittsburgh that I was engaged to, and I moved here, and I had to go back to pharmacy. So that's the long story short. And in 2019, I started to have debilitating neck pain and anxiety and panic attacks again. And so there was this theme throughout my life of this anxiety, this nervous system response to my environment, that I was under so much stress. And I remember knowing in my heart that there was something that I was meant to do with my life. I just couldn't see the path forward yet. And there was one moment I remember, I call it my F it moment. I'm not going to curse on here, but it was that line in the sand where I'm like, I am done. I had avoided hiring coaches for so long, from 2012 to 2019. I quit my job. I was so miserable in that job. It was a retail setting. I was working back-to-back 12-hour shifts. I was like, I'm done. I hired a coach who I trusted, who I knew I could resonate with, and who could teach me the strategy as well as learn how to actually build a profitable business. Before that, I was barely making $10,000 a year. After I got the help that I needed and really worked through some of the patterns I'm going to be sharing today, I was able to create a multiple six-figure business every single year. So this nervous system work helps you have more capacity. So I want you to imagine that there's like a bowl, right? A metal bowl that maybe you have in your kitchen counter. And it's the difference of having all of you could put a ton of water in there and that metal bowl is going to hold it, right? Whereas if you have a colander, there's a lot of energy leaks. That water is just going to, right? You can't hold higher levels of wealth and clients when you have a leaky bucket. So we're going to talk about that today, of how to start plugging some of these energy leaks, these low voltage patterns. So that is my burnout story. I have been there. I get you. I know it sucks. It's difficult. And what I love about Ashley, what we were just talking about before, it's like, okay, you have this challenge. Now what what are you going to do with it? Are we going to just sit back and say, okay, this is my life. This is what I have. I can't do anything about it. I'm powerless. Or are you going to come into spaces like this and learn from people who have been there, done that, who can help you accelerate the path to where you want to be, whether that's entrepreneurship or landing a different position, whatever. I encourage you not only to listen and absorb, but to take action. Like I said, implementation is the key. So to illustrate my point here, I want to do a fun little visualization. So you can close your eyes, you can keep your eyes open, whatever feels good for you here. I find that closing my eyes helps me just get more into the vibe of what we're going to be looking at here. So I want you to imagine that you're on vacation and you're in your favorite place. I don't care where it is, Mexico, Costa Rica, France, who cares? And you've rented your favorite car. Like there's nothing off limits. It's a Porsche, it's a Jaguar, whatever. So envision yourself in this car. Now, you're driving the car and you have your favorite person in the passenger seat. I will not tell anybody if it's not your spouse. If it's like your best friend, whoever it is, envision this. You're on vacation, it's sunny, the wind's flapping in the breeze in your hair, and you're in this just expansive open state. Then, you have your favorite music on, and then in the rearview mirror, you see a cop car pulled up behind you. What do you immediately think? Write it in the chat. What is that immediate thought? Like, that cop car. He doesn't have his lights on yet, but he's in your rearview mirror. What would you feel? What did I do? Right? I'm in trouble. Slow down. Okay. Then the cop's lights go on. Then what do you think? Then you're really in trouble. Am I going too fast? Yeah. Oh my God, what did I do? Do I not have my seatbelt on? Was I on my phone? What happened? Right? What did I do? Your nervous system's in high alert. What if that person were to ask you what the first president is or was? You'd probably be like, I don't know, Taylor Swift. All right, instead of George Washington. Your brain is not thinking critically because you're in fight or flight and you're not able to come up with the correct answer of what this person's asking you. So what I'm describing to you here is essentially what's called the polyvagal theory. And it's this idea, Dr. Stephen Porges came up with this theory that we have these different, it's this ladder of our body is always scanning the environment for cues of safety, threat, or danger. When you're in the car and nothing's going wrong, you're connected, you're engaged, you feel confident, you're regulated in your own nervous system, in your body. So that's like vacation mode. He calls that ventral vagal. Then the threat of when you see the cop right behind you, that's where a lot of us go to that sympathetic fight or flight response. Symptoms of that are anxiety, irritability, anger. Those are the go-to responses that we'll see. Then when the cops' lights go on, you know you're in danger. So that's dorsal vagal, and that's at the bottom of the ladder is where burnout is. So a lot of us, depending on how we were wired, meaning, from our parents, from how we responded to trauma or things that were unfamiliar or uncertain, or just a lot of stimulation, we either go to fight, flight, freeze, or complete shutdown, which is burnout. So that is what really happens when we're thinking of how burnout manifests for a lot of us. So maybe, and we're going to talk about some of these energy leaks here. Yes, burnout can absolutely come from toxic work environments, heavy demands, all of that, but we can't control that. So what I want to talk about is what we can control here. And I'm going to teach you some of these practices to help you bring you back up to that state of ventral vagal safety, because I'm going to share with you what it looks like if you are operating from, like I said, burnout. We're going to say that's the same thing as the 2% battery. That's the same thing as complete shutdown. All of that is what burnout really is, that we're operating from this very low power. So trauma, when we experience any type of trauma, we go into these fight, flight, freeze, or complete shutdown patterns. Can anybody identify for themselves? Type in the chat for me. Where do you tend to go? Like, I know I go to fight. Like, I'm going to get defensive. I'm going to move. I'm going to do something in order to restore safety. I'd go blank. Yep. Salonia, thank you so much for your engagement. Go into flight. Okay, so you want to run away and avoid. Yeah, that makes so much sense. All of these patterns make so much sense. So that's the first thing I want to say, is taking off that judgment of, something's wrong, because typically that can show up here too. Fight, flight. A lot of people want to run away, avoid. Absolutely. Yeah, because your body is always trying to stay safe. And this concept of neuroception, or always scanning the environment, we don't even realize that we're doing it. I have clients that I'll ask them, I'll say, like, when was a time when you felt safe? And they'll say, never. I'm always in fight or flight. So imagine that your energy is being siphoned into fear, shame, and protection, instead of being used to think critically, to plug into your power, to be creative in your business. So there's two very different ways that we can use our energy. And again, I call these, whenever we go through trauma, we develop low voltage patterns. This is actually what I'm going to be talking about in my TED Talk, because I know I'm getting that TED Talk. I applied to 30. I haven't gotten it yet, but you guys as my witness, I'm declaring it. But it's this idea that when we go through fight, flight, freeze, our energy, our light is leaked. So unworthiness is an example of a low voltage pattern. Unworthiness, people pleasing, perfectionism, hiding, fear of visibility. All of these things are protective patterns as a response to the environment, as a response to trauma. And so for so many of us, it becomes our identity. It becomes like, oh, well, I'm a perfectionist. Oh, and we might not even realize that this is affecting how we show up in our relationships, how it affects our health, how it impacts our business. So for the sake of this talk, I'm going to specifically mention business. How do you think unworthiness shows up in your business, or in general, when it comes to career? Let's talk about that. Prices, absolutely. Playing it safe. So undercharging, over-delivering, over-giving, because we've created this identity, a lot of us. We want to help. We want to help people. But oftentimes it comes at our own expense, because we've learned that in order to, and this is from birth to age 7 is where our foundational programming comes in. And we learn certain, we start believing certain things about ourselves. Oh, I can't be too much. Oh, I'm not enough. Oh, I'm seeing this repeated pattern in my environment, and the adults in my life are reflecting something back to me. It must be true. We take on these unconscious identities, and we're still playing it out as adults because it's these unhealed parts of us that are just trying to protect us. So perfectionism, anybody else relate to that? How do you think that shows up? Typically, so I want to give you a kind of a roadmap for this. So we just talked about fight, flight, freeze. Freeze is typically where perfectionism exists. So you really want to move forward, but it's almost like then you're overthinking and you're like, oh, well, I can't put that post out because it's not perfect yet. I had somebody once, a client who I was talking to, potential client, it took her 6 hours to put a post out. So there's this gap between the idea and the implementation. So people who are typically go to freeze, it can take them a long time to implement something, can lead to a lack of creativity, not able to produce, right? Because think about it, when you're in freeze, that's how your body's protecting itself. So you can't mobilize, you can't move forward because it doesn't feel safe to your system to do that, because there's a negative consequence of what are people going to think? I'm going to get criticized. And again, this is all based in those very early childhood years. This comes down to also how we hide different pieces of ourselves. So as an example, if you don't feel safe to shine and to say what you have to say because of a blend of these things, people pleasing, unworthiness, it often presents, and I can see this very clearly when I look at people because I've done this for 13 years and I knew my own patterns, and now I help other people to clear this so that you can really show up and shine and expand your brilliance. It shows up as hiding. So this hiding energy of like not wanting to be visible or being indirect with your offers and being afraid to sell, that is how a lot of this manifests. And it's costing you money, it's costing you peace, and it's keeping these patterns going, because when you don't see the clients or whatever it is, the outcome, so many of us think we have to hustle harder or we have to do more. But what if we could, instead of doing more and hustling, proving, performing, and pushing, we could get into alignment. We could regulate our nervous system. We could get into that ventral vagal, that vacation. Just think vacation mode, ventral vagal. I never said that before. So this is what's happening when we are not connected to ourselves, because we're just kind of like pushing through. And a lot of us have been taught that way, like just put your head down, fill the prescriptions, right? We're so wired for that. What if instead we were wired for connection to ourselves, that we gave ourselves a little bit of space to walk around the block or take a quick pause or do a quick nervous system reset, which again, I'm going to be sharing with you specific things to help you do this. If you were more connected to yourself, you would know when you were going down towards burnout, and you would be able to get yourself back up into that zone of safety where you're engaged, where you feel confident. You're like, oh, I got this, Beyonce style, right? Is anybody else laughing here? I try to be funny and corny, so hopefully somebody's giggling. But this is how these patterns manifest. So I'm just going to give you specific examples I have. In sales, these patterns, these low voltage patterns, can look like hesitation, fear of rejection, or just not confidently marketing the offer. And here's the thing too, some of this is energetic and what I'm talking about with these low patterns, but some of it's also strategy too. So when I back to my story, when I first hired these coaches, I hired a coach that only focused on strategy, and I got far. Like I called in clients, it was great. But then I noticed that I was getting on sales calls and I kept hearing the same objections. So I knew that there was something else, which is what led me to discover all of this that I'm sharing today. once I addressed these patterns, that's when my business skyrocketed. That's why my tagline is skyrocket your confidence, clients, and cash flow, because it's the nervous system work, but it's also aligned strategy for what feels good for you to share. Do you like podcasting? Do you like, how do you want to be visible in the world? How do you want to expand your brilliance into the world? And so it's not just about the energy, it's about the strategy as well. And how do you marry those two things to be able to move forward and really skyrocket your results? So back to this. So in sales, not confidently making the offer. In marketing, it can show up as inconsistency. So I always say, like, you shine really bright for a while and then you burn out, right? So this work helps you have sustainable current. If you think of the light bulb example, sustainable energy. That's how, if you guys watch me, I have been consistent for 6 years full time in my business because of what I'm doing here. Even when I had my daughter, which I was sleep deprived, I was an anxious mess, but I still was able to be profitable in my business because I have systems, I have a team, I have different things set up. So even if life happens, we all know life happens, you can still have a successful impact. You can, and whether or not you are an entrepreneur, this can translate into your work no matter what you do. So in leadership, this can manifest as people pleasing, poor boundaries. Remember, I talked about that leaky bucket. If you have poor boundaries, then that's where the people pleasing comes in. So if you can't say no, that's when the bucket is really leaky, because then you're trying to be everything to everyone. Your energy's leaking and you're trying to help everybody. So that's why I said, imagine that colander with the holes in it, and then you plug those holes, and then you can hold more water, AKA energy, AKA clients' cash flow. So all of this, I like to give those examples because I want to make this real in your mind, that this is, yes, I'm talking about energy and low voltage patterns, but this is how it shows up in a practical way. So, okay. What are you thinking so far? What's resonating? What's like an aha, an epiphany, a light bulb moment? We'll use my own metaphor, right? Full powered and aligned systems and strategy leads to sustainable scaling. Say that 10 times fast. Sustainable scaling. So this is how we start to plug back into our power. It's by being deeply connected with ourselves, and anything that we do inside shifts what's happening outside. So when we get help and support, we don't leak, we don't have low voltage patterns, we show up fully, confidently in that Beyonce energy. And if you have strategy and things that you can do, that this coach is going to say, this is what you're going to do, this is what works, that aligns with you, that feels good, that's how you get results. So plenty of leaks. Yeah, and be honest, like, you guys are totally safe to share here. I'm not judging you. I still have a nervous system coach. I work on these patterns, right? Because at every next level of your growth, like, I am going to be a TEDx speaker. That is, visibility leads to vulnerability. So the more people that you reach, you might have more criticism. You might have people say, oh, I don't like this girl. Okay. Being rooted and strong in yourself and having this work is going to help you. Having a goal of sustainable current. Ooh, yes. Okay. So let's go through a couple of just simple exercises here that will help you get back to that vacation mode. I'm just going to call it that. So one of the things that you're going to do is you're going to take your left hand and you're going to place it gently on the right side of your head, and you're going to just have a little neck stretch here. And you're going to keep your face pointed this way, but you're just going to shift your eyes to the right. And we're going to hold this for about 10 seconds here. And you might notice a deepening in your breath. maybe your thoughts start to slow down. Whatever that is, even if it's a 1% shift. So just feeling this little eye stretch here. Then bringing your eyes back to center and letting that go. Then we're going to do the other side. So right hand on left side of your head and just gently shifting, stretching out your neck, and then moving your eyes to the left. Just your eyes, not your head. And just feeling if there's a deepening in your breath, a deeper connection to yourself. This feels good for me because, we high achievers hold a lot in our neck and back. Couple more seconds here. And then shifting your gaze and letting that go. So what happens when we're in fight or flight? Our eyes are typically focused forward. And it's because we're prepared for something, right? Fight, flight, freeze, or shut down. So in order for us to bring some safety back into our body, we're intentionally shifting your eyes. So that's one practice that you can do. Very simple, quick neck stretch, and then hold for about, I would say, 10 to 20 seconds. Another thing that you can do to activate the vagus nerve to apply a little bit more of that brake, right? Because if we're in fight or flight, that's heavy gas. So you can put your tongue to the roof of your mouth and just hold it for 7 seconds. So let's do that together. And I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now let that go. The beautiful thing about that one is you can do it if you're having a conversation or something where it's maybe something that triggers you or brings up some of that fight or flight energy. You can be talking, or the other person can be talking, and you can have that to the roof of your mouth. So I want to hear from you. What are some ways that you get triggered, I guess, in your everyday life? What are things in your business that evoke some of these patterns? Because I want to do some live coaching with you. I want to help you here. What evokes your people pleasing? What brings out, is it sales? Is it marketing? Is it interacting with potential clients? Is it visibility? Like if you have to go stand up at a networking event, what is that? I am curious. Don't be shy. Come on now. Because I've worked with thousands of people and I know that everybody struggles with this. Yep. Don't be shy. It's okay to be vulnerable. Maybe this is triggering you right now. Like, oh, I don't want to look bad. I don't want to look weak. I want to have it all together. Right? The masks we wear to avoid vulnerability. So healing and rewiring the nervous system is multi-dimensional. I'm going to go into this concept while you type in the chat. So it's multi-dimensional in the sense that it's about regulating, just like what we did, part of that. There's so many other things that I could go into, but I'm not going to for the sake of this conversation. So learning how to feel safe by being more visible, by receiving abundantly for your gifts, by maybe raising your prices, because that's all stretching your edge. We're used to getting paid typically from an employer on a consistent basis. Entrepreneurship is a totally different game. You have to champion for yourself. You have to own your worth. You have to get in front of people and pitch your offers, right? All of these things require nervous system regulation. Reclaiming inherited beliefs and rewiring for possibility. So when we are in the uncertain, the unknown, that's when especially our patterns get triggered. So realigning. So it's all the R words, building strategy from regulation. And again, it's not just the nervous system work, but it's also strategies to save time, to collapse time. So as a simple example of what this can look like, maybe you delegate something to a virtual assistant that is not, I call it a high return on energy task, like showing up at a networking event or having sales conversations or coming onto something like this, a summit. These are high return on energy tasks that only I can do. So maybe delegating, that could be a practical way that this applies. It could be automating. I actually wrote about this, delegate, automate, eliminate, in my Expanding Your Brilliance book. So these are ways that you can systematize processes in your business, even having something like policies and procedures for a virtual assistant to say, okay, this is how you upload a YouTube video. This is how you do da 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 da. Right? That's how it practically will translate. And then rising. So scaling with power, scaling with energy, not exhaustion, which is the whole title of this. So this is why I do this work with pharmacists, because I've done it and I've worked with, again, thousands of people to help them scale sustainable businesses. So I want you to imagine scaling your business in a way that feels nourishing instead of draining, shifting from exhausted to empowered and having more capacity to receive, to hold more clients and cash flow without overwhelm or burnout. Who's in for that? Who wants more freedom, fulfillment, and financial ease? I know so many people. I actually used to work for Rite Aid, and that was the job that I quit. Now they're, laying people off, unfortunately. And I don't have to worry about that because I've already established the roots of my business. I am a full-time entrepreneur. I haven't collected a check. I don't have a rich husband. I don't have a trust fund. I have done this. I have been there, done that. And so there's two giveaways. Who here has found tremendous value from this talk and I hope I helped you see things in a new way, a new lens and perspective. Just give me an amen, give me a something in the chat. I am going to pull up, and I'm wondering if I can share my screen. I've got two things for you. If you take this quick survey, and if you want, I can just drop it in the, I can maybe drop a picture or something like that. Let's see, share, allowed to share window, allowed to share screen. Let's see, window. No, that's definitely not it. Okay, stop sharing. Share screen. Okay, I can't do that. Okay, so we're gonna have to figure out another way. So there's a freebie called Reignite Your Light, effective burnout prevention strategies, that I want to give you. So in order for you to get that, though, you need to give me feedback on my talk. So that's what I was trying to pull up, but maybe Ashley, we can figure that out. The second thing, as a thank you for attending this session, I want to offer you, if you are ready to move from exhausted to empowered and to have the step-by-step roadmap to scaling a sustainable business, I've got two of my signature programs that I am going to be giving you a special coupon code for that expires in 48 hours. And the coupon code is EMPOWER. So the first program is my signature program, Pristine. It's 4 months, and you get all of the recordings, all of the replays, tons of trainings with step-by-step instructions to lay the solid, pristine foundation to strategically launch your irresistible offer that you can sell immediately to call in consistent clients and cash flow. So that's the first one. Second one is my Confident Client Attraction program. So this is an 8-week program. Both of these are on demand, where we're focusing on high return on energy activities. So things that you can do to move the needle in your business, to start creating more magnetic content, to learn soulful sales strategies that will help you call in a steady stream of clients now. So I am going to be dropping, you know what, I'll drop the link in the chat here. Please feel free, if you have questions about this, to ask. I am literally an open book. I've written 6 books. There's nothing off limits. So I will drop that in the chat here before I open up for questions. Okay, so there is, so Pristine and Confident Client Attraction. Traction. So coupon code is Empower and expires so 5/22 at 11:59 Eastern. Okay. Now I want to hear from you. Questions, if we can give the mic to somebody. New perspective, preach this everywhere. Yeah, I am. That's why I'm going to do a TED Talk. I'm like so passionate about this topic. Okay. So I don't know if we can bring people on. I'm happy to do live coaching. If you don't feel comfortable with being recorded, we can even take that off. Doesn't matter to me. Don't be afraid. Or are you in freeze right now?
I think it's quite possible that people are in freeze, Christina. For those of us that are here in the audience, I believe you may be able to raise your hand. I believe there's a raise your hand button. If you want to raise your hand, we'll be able to get you on screen here with Christina.
Yeah, it's safe. I've got you. Salonia, I'd love to hear from you. I feel like you've been engaged this whole time. Let me give you another heart. So you got 3 hearts now. This is your chance. Pick my brain. I see somebody typing. Wow, look at that. I don't know how. I just sometimes know about like the timing. Like it's 10:42 somehow. I just know that. Which I guess is good for a TED Talk because I can't go over a certain time limit, so I've got to be on point.
They're very stringent with that, I believe.
Yep.
Christina, have you noticed anything based on at least people's perceived personality types? And the reason that I ask that is when I started pharmacy school, I don't even know that they would allow us to do this today. But when I started pharmacy school, they had everybody go through a Myers-Briggs personality inventory.
Yeah.
And of the 120 some people in my class, like over 95% scored exactly the same way. And part of that was introvert, right? And so I was just...
Oh, that's surprising.
Okay. Yeah, surprise, right? I'm just curious if you have noticed anything, especially around the energy types, that may be connected to introvert and extrovert specifically.
I had that in my school too, and like literally in my class, it was like 95% introverts with like me being part of the 5% extroverts. So
I think I'm an ENFJ. I'm pretty sure that's what I am. I took it like a while ago. I would think that more I see with every pharmacist that I coach more of these low voltage patterns that I'm talking about. So unworthiness is like universal, unworthiness, perfectionism, some aspect of hiding or shame. Typically whenever there's unresolved shame or guilt about something, well, shame is hiding, and then guilt often seeks punishment. So guilt and shame together create self-sabotage, which is what these patterns are. Like we really want to move forward, but then we sabotage our launch, or we don't ask for what we're worth, or however that shows up. And so what I do is I'm able to pinpoint that within 5 minutes of looking at someone's social media. I can feel that. I look at their offers. I look at how they're showing up. You know, their light bulb, I guess you would say. Are they burning? Are they bright? Or are they at that 2%? Are they showing up inconsistently? I can see that. And then we dive into the patterns. I help them shift it. Like I said, this is multi-dimensional, but when you have the alignment, the strategy becomes easy and everything else follows that. So, like I said, when I had my coach, it was a business coach that I hired. It was great, but then I hit these frustrating roadblocks because I was sabotaging my sales calls. And I didn't even realize it until a different coach pointed it out. And I was like, oh, and then it led me down this path. And this is my work now. So, Arsh Preet, you're typing for a long time. I see you over there. I know we only have a little bit of time left, but if anybody wants to privately connect with me, I'm happy to do that as well. If you have questions, I'm happy to help you.
Is the
So
best way to do that, Christina, through your LinkedIn? Because I'll drop your,
yeah, LinkedIn.
I'll put the LinkedIn link in the,
Oh, okay, perfect.
please
Yeah,
follow
or
or can.
my website, like I said, in the pharmacistcoach.com. So yeah, it's time for you to shine. That's what we're ready for. We need more people. We need more leaders. We need more people doing this work. So any other questions? He's just typing away.
What?
I don't know.
Let me just ask another question. Well, oh, here comes the question.
Do you think we worked on a personal level? I had a mentor coach. Let's talk privately because I want to really understand where you're coming from. Arshpreet Kaur. Yeah, let's chitty chat together. We'll figure out what the best step is. Yeah,
So,
awesome.
very good, Christina. Thank you so much. You had made a promise yesterday that you're going to bring the heat to start.
Woo!
And you kept that promise, right?
And my husband woke me up last night, and I was like pushing him over because he had a nightmare. I'm like, he woke me up. I'm like, I have a talk tomorrow. So we're still bringing the heat, Jesse.
Yeah, very good, very good. What
you.
a way to start off day 2 of the Empower Pharmacy conference. Christina, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And for those that are attending here, we appreciate you tuning in and being with us here this morning. Your Space by Empower is a project set to unite modern pharmacists to empower our profession forward, to prevent burnout, and to create a safe space for actionable solutions that our profession so desperately needs. You can support this project. You can join our community. We offer different things like regular coffee with friends and the Empower sessions. You can be a part of this movement for just $5 for the first 100 pharmacists who will join using this link. And the link is in the chat. Thank you, Susan, for that. Our next session kicks off in just a few minutes here at the top of the hour. You should have email reminders, and I should be prepared for this because there is a link. I'm going to put this, I got to find it and put it in the chat here real quick. But we will be starting off again here at the top of the hour with Shelby. Shelby Osman will be up next. So looking forward to that as we're going to be talking about branding. So link is in the chat. And thank you, everybody, for being here today. And
thank you so much.
Thank you, Christina.
All right. Bye.
See you, everybody.